The desert was endless. A sea of golden sand stretched to the horizon, broken only by giant cliffs of red stone. The sun burned high above, turning the air heavy and dry. Every step left a mark that the wind quickly erased, as if the land itself wanted to hide all signs of life. It was a place where silence ruled. Yet, today, that silence carried footsteps, slow, heavy, purposeful, to figures walked across the sands. They were humans, dressed in white exosuits, glowing blue circles pulsing on their chests with every breath. The suits were strong, built for war and survival in the harshest places. Dust clung to the armor, but the soldiers marched forward without pause. Their helmets were open, revealing faces tight with caution, their eyes sharp and restless. Scanned the land ahead. Behind them walked another figure, taller, stranger, alien. It was a creature unlike anything the desert had ever seen. Its skin was dark, like metal and stone fused together, covered in ridges and scars. Its body was powerful, every muscle carved like it was built for battle. Its head was elongated, its face sharp, and its eyes glowed faintly with a cold, unsettling light. It walked with silent grace, though its arms were bound in heavy restraints. Chains rattled softly with every step. The humans never turned their backs for long. Their hands stayed close to their weapons. Fear lived behind their steady expressions. They had captured the monster. Yes, but no human truly believed a monster could ever be tamed. The desert wind howled. Sand rose in small spirals, dancing around the three travelers. The alien did not flinch. Its glowing eyes stayed locked forward, unbothered by the heat, unbroken by the chains. One soldier finally spoke. His voice cracked, but he forced it steady. "Why is it still alive?" The other soldier said nothing. Her eyes narrowed, jaw tight. She knew the answer, or maybe she didn't. Orders were orders. But in her heart, she shared the same question. The first soldier tried again, his voice lower, almost a whisper carried by the wind. "This thing, it killed thousands, maybe millions. I heard entire colonies were wiped out. I heard their fleets tore through planets like fire through dry grass. And yet, we keep this one breathing." The silence of the desert returned. The alien's chains rattled once more, as if mocking their words. The second soldier finally spoke, her tone colder. "Command has its reasons. We don't need to understand them. We just follow." But her words lacked conviction. She could feel the weight of the monster's presence. Every step with it felt wrong, unnatural. The galaxy knew what this creature was, what its kind was. They were destroyers, monsters of legend. And humans, who were known as bloodthirsty and merciless, had chosen not to kill it. The alien glanced at the soldiers. Its eyes glowed brighter. For a moment, then dimmed again. It did not speak. It had not spoken since its capture. That silence was worse than any roar. Words could be understood. Silence left room for fear. The soldiers walked on, sweat dripping down their brows under the desert sun. Their boots sank into the soft sand, and each step forward felt heavier. The creature's shadow stretched long behind them, sharp and frightening, as if the desert itself was warning them to turn back. The first soldier broke again, unable to hold his fear. "Do you think it knows? Do you think it understands we spared it?" The second soldier's lips pressed tight. She wanted to say no. She wanted to say the alien was nothing but a beast, blind with rage and blood. But when she met its glowing eyes, something inside her shifted. There was intelligence there, a calm, quiet intelligence. It did know. The alien's silence was not ignorance. It was choice. She looked away quickly, forcing herself not to think about it. The desert wind grew louder, every sound the sand against. Their boots, the rattle of chains, the beating of their hearts seemed magnified, echoing across the canyon walls. They were being watched, not by enemies, not by allies, but by the desert itself. The sun began to sink lower in the sky, painting the cliffs in blood-red light. The soldiers stopped at the edge of a canyon. Below them stretched a maze of stone and shadow. The alien's eyes glowed against the dimming light, like embers refusing to die. The second soldier whispered, almost to herself, "We should have killed it." The alien tilted its head, the faintest motion, almost human. For the first time, a small curve formed on its lips. It was not a smile of joy. It was not a smile of thanks, it was something else. Something that made the soldiers' blood run cold. The monster knew it knew why it was alive and somehow that was worse than death. The desert swallowed their silence once again. The story had begun. The desert night was beginning to fall, and the air grew cooler. The two soldiers walked in silence, the chains of the alien clinking softly behind them. Every sound in that endless canyon carried far, bouncing off the stone walls as if the desert itself whispered their secrets back to them. The humans felt watched, not by living eyes, but by the weight of history pressing down on them. The first soldier could not hold his voice any longer. He spoke as if afraid of his own words. They called its kind monsters before we even saw them. Whole fleets lost, whole cities burned. Do you know how many times I heard the same stories? Ships split in half, children taken, colonies gone in a single night. They say this one. He stopped, glancing back at the chained creature. They say this one alone destroyed 3 human cruisers, and now we walk beside it. The other soldier did not reply. Her eyes were sharp, watching the canyon floor, watching the shadows move with the fading sun. She wanted to stay focused, to ignore his trembling voice, but she too remembered the stories. Her unit had fought the aliens' people. She had seen fire in space, had felt the silence when voices on comms cut off forever. She had seen friends vanish into the void, their screams never reaching her. She too had reasons to fear. The creature walked with steady calm, as though the sand and chains were nothing to it. Its gaze never wavered. The humans felt like prey walking beside their predator, but one bound by orders too strong to ignore. The first soldier's voice came again, bitter now. We should have killed it, put a blade in its chest, blast it to dust. That would have been mercy, real mercy. The second soldier shook her head. Mercy is not what command wants. Her words hung heavy in the dry air. They both knew commands. Orders: do not kill, do not torture, protect it. The very idea was poison in their minds. The galaxy feared humans for their bloodlust, for their cruelty, for their savage ways in war. But this felt worse. The alien turned its glowing eyes toward them. For a moment, the soldiers felt pierced by its stare, not hateful, not pleading, something else, something they could not name. The creature said nothing, yet it felt as if it understood every word, every thought. The first soldier lowered his voice to a whisper. What if it's waiting, waiting for the right moment? What if mercy is the trap? The second soldier did not answer. She was thinking the same thing. Yet deep inside, another thought, a darker one, grew louder. What if mercy was not weakness? What if it was strength? The wind blew harder, carrying sand into their armor joints, scratching at their skin. The canyon stretched into shadows where the light no longer touched. Every rock, every crevice looked like a mouth waiting to swallow them whole. The desert was not empty. It felt alive, as if holding its breath. The first soldier finally stopped. His boots sank deep into the sand. He turned to face the other. Tell me, do you even believe it deserves to live? The second soldier met his eyes. Her jaw was tight. For a long moment, she did not speak. Then her voice came, quiet but steady. Deserve has nothing to do with it. The alien tilted its head at those words. For the first time, its chains clattered as it shifted its arms. The sound was sharp, like steel cutting through silence. The soldiers tightened their grips on their weapons, their hearts pounding, but the creature did not attack. It only stood taller, its glowing eyes fixed on them with an unreadable expression. The humans felt small, as though caught between something ancient and something new. The first soldier spat into the sand. Deserve or not, it's wrong. Everyone fears us already. They call us killers, monsters in our own right. But sparing this thing, they'll call us insane, worse than insane. The second soldier finally turned away, continuing her march. Let them call us what they want. Fear works both ways. Her words echoed in his ears, harsh and unsettling. Fear worked both ways. He had never thought of it like that. The galaxy feared humans for their violence. But what if mercy frightened them more? What if sparing this monster planted deeper terror than killing it ever could? The alien's faint smile returned. Just a curve of its lips, nothing more. but enough to freeze the soldier's blood. It understood. It always understood. The march continued in silence. The canyon walls grew higher around them, shutting out the sky, closing them into shadows. The humans felt trapped, not by stone, but by their own thoughts. Each step forward was heavier, as if their boots carried the weight of the galaxies. Eyes. The desert night grew darker, colder. Stars began to pierce the sky above, watching silently. The soldiers dared not look up. They felt enough eyes on them already. The alien moved with ease, as though the chains were decorations, as though the humans beside it were children playing at war. It carried itself with dignity, even in defeat. That dignity burned in the soldiers' minds. This was no beast, no mindless monster. This was something more. The first soldier shivered, though the cold was not the reason. What if mercy is not for it? He whispered. What if mercy is for us? The second soldier did not answer. The desert wind swallowed his words. The alien's faint glow lit the shadows around them. Each flicker of its eyes felt like fire cutting through the dark. The humans felt caught in a storm they could neither escape nor understand. And the story pressed forward, step by step, into the unknown. The night grew colder as the three figures moved deeper into the canyon. The stars above looked sharp, like silver blades scattered across the sky. The two human soldiers walked carefully, their armor glowing faintly with blue light. The alien followed behind, chains rattling with every step, yet its movements were calm, almost graceful. It seemed as if the desert belonged to it, as if the sand and stone bent to its will. The silence was heavy, broken only by the crunch of boots and the faint drag of metal. The first soldier could no longer bear the quiet. His voice cracked the air like a stone hitting still water. Why doesn't it speak? The other soldier did not answer at once. Her eyes flicked to the alien, then forward again. Maybe it has nothing to say. The first soldier shook his head. No, that thing knows. It understands us. I've seen it look at me like it's reading my thoughts. He swallowed, his throat dry from the desert air. It should be screaming, cursing, begging, but it doesn't. That silence. His voice trailed into nothing. The alien's gaze shifted, its glowing eyes flickering like embers. It had heard. It always heard. Yet it remained silent, walking as though it carried no chains at all. The second soldier's hand brushed the grip of her weapon. She felt a strange weight pressing against her chest, heavier than her armor. Maybe silence is worse, she muttered. The canyon grew narrower, the walls towering like giants on either side. Shadows swallowed the path ahead. The humans slowed their steps, instinct tightening in their bodies. Every corner looked like an ambush waiting to spring. But there was no movement, no sound but their own. The first soldier whispered again, almost to himself. What kind of monster stays quiet in the hands of its enemies? The alien lifted its head. Its breath was steady, its chest rising with calm power. For the briefest moment, its lips moved, not enough to form words. Just the ghost of a sound. The soldiers froze, hearts pounding. But then nothing. The desert claimed the moment back, and the alien returned to its silence. The second soldier's pulse hammered in her ears. She wanted to believe it was weak. She wanted to believe the chains meant control. But something inside her knew the truth. Silence was not weakness. Silence was choice. They kept walking, but unease followed them like a shadow. The air grew colder, the wind sharper. The stars above seemed to burn brighter, watching, judging. The first soldier finally broke again, anger rising to hide his fear. We call them monsters, but maybe we are the monsters. Do you think it knows the stories that every other race whispers about us? Bloodthirsty humans, killers without mercy. His words cut the silence, bitter and sharp. The second soldier frowned but did not deny it. We are feared, she said simply. But fear is why they hate us. He argued, it's why they fight us. They see us as savages, nothing more. And here we are, walking beside the nightmare of nightmares, and instead of finishing it, we spare it. What kind of message is that? The alien's glowing eyes flickered again. This time, it turned its head toward the soldier who spoke. It stared at him, unblinking. The soldier felt his breath catch in his throat. He wanted to look away, but could not. There was no rage in the creature's eyes, no hatred, only something deeper, stranger. It was as if the alien was searching inside him, peeling away every layer of fear, anger, and doubt. The soldier's chest tightened. He forced his voice out, though it was barely more than a whisper. "What do you want?" The alien tilted its head slightly, as though considering the question. But again, it gave no reply. The soldier's knees weakened under the weight of the silence. He wanted the alien to scream, to roar, to confirm it was a beast. Anything would be better than this unbearable calm. The second soldier stepped between them, breaking the moment. "Don't," she said firmly. "Don't ask it questions. Don't give it power." The first soldier exhaled sharply, shaking his head. But the damage was done. The silence had already spoken louder than words. The path curved deeper into shadow. The canyon walls closed tighter, forcing the humans and the alien closer together. The air was colder here, the stars almost hidden. The sound of chains echoed louder in the narrow space, like drums marking every step. The soldiers' nerves were raw. Every clink of metal, every shift of shadow set their hearts racing. Yet the alien moved with steady calm, as though it had no fear of the dark. The second soldier's thoughts turned heavy. She remembered the faces of her squad, friends lost in battles against this creature's kind. She remembered fire in space, voices crying out, silence after death. Her chest ached with the memory. She wanted to hate the monster. She wanted to see it as nothing more than a beast. But when she looked at it now, chained and silent, she saw something else. It was not broken. It was not defeated. It was waiting. Her breath grew shallow. She realized the alien was not a prisoner in its own mind. The humans were the prisoners, prisoners of the silence, of the mystery, of the fear of what mercy truly meant. The first soldier muttered again, voice trembling. "Maybe it's not us sparing it. Maybe it's sparing us." The words hung in the air like a curse. The alien's eyes glowed brighter for a moment, a faint light burning in the shadows. The soldiers felt that light cut through them, exposing every weakness. The march continued. Step after step, the canyon walls held their secrets, the desert carried their fear, and the alien's silence followed them like a shadow they could never escape. The canyon widened again, spilling out into a valley of broken stone and scattered ruins. Old pillars rose from the sand, carved long ago by hands now forgotten. Their shapes were sharp, alien and twisted, hinting at a civilization that once lived here but was swallowed by time. The wind carried a hollow sound through the ruins, like voices of ghosts still trapped in the stone. The humans slowed as they stepped into the valley. Their boots crunched on the dry earth, and the glow of their suits painted faint blue light across the fallen monuments. The alien walked behind them, its chains scraping across the ground, the sound echoing louder among the ruins. The first soldier's voice broke the silence. "I've seen these before, in the archives, these ruins. They're from a race that vanished before we even left Earth. A whole people gone, wiped clean." He stopped, staring at a cracked statue half buried in the sand. Its face had long eroded, but its eyes still seemed to watch him, and no one remembers why. The second soldier looked up at the towering cliffs, her breath sharp in her chest. "Maybe they met something like it," she said quietly, tilting her head toward the alien. The first soldier's hand gripped his weapon tighter. The thought made his skin crawl. Entire civilizations erased, entire histories forgotten. Monsters remembered, people forgotten. He wondered how long it would take before humanity suffered the same fate. Reduced to dust and whispers, the alien stopped beside the broken statue. Its glowing eyes lingered on the ruined stone, on the face erased by time. For the first time, it looked almost still, almost thoughtful. The humans froze as they watched. Chains rattled softly as it tilted its head, studying the ruins like one might study a grave. The second soldier whispered, "It knows these ruins." The first soldier shook his head sharply. "No, don't start believing it feels anything, don't." But the doubt was already there, heavy in their minds. The night deepened, shadows stretching across the valley. The stars above seemed distant, weak against the endless black. The humans moved forward, past pillars cracked in half and walls carved with strange, unreadable symbols. The alien followed, silent, but never blind. Every step it took felt deliberate, as if it remembered paths long vanished under the sand. The ruins pressed down on the soldiers' thoughts. They felt small, fragile, like children trespassing on a world they were never meant to touch. The silence of the alien grew heavier in this place, as though it carried knowledge that humans could never reach. The first soldier muttered, his voice trembling with frustration, "We fight them. We bleed against them. We call them monsters. But look at it. Does that look like a monster? Or does it look like something that's seen more than we ever will?" The second soldier glanced back at the alien. Its glowing eyes flickered in the dark, reflecting the faint light of the stars. She wanted to answer, but no words came. They reached the center of the valley, where a collapsed tower lay like the skeleton of a giant. The alien slowed, then stopped, its gaze fixed on the shattered stones, and for a long moment, it stood motionless. The humans turned to face it, weapons ready. Fear pulsed in their blood, but curiosity gnawed at them. What did it see in the ruins? Why did it stop? The alien lifted its head, its eyes glowing brighter now. Casting faint light across the rubble, it opened its mouth, and for the first time, since its capture, a sound escaped. It was not a word, not a language the humans understood. It was a low, deep tone, like stone grinding against stone, filled with weight and sorrow. The sound shivered through the air, echoing across the valley. The ruins seemed to answer. The wind rising, the sand shifting, the soldiers' hearts pounded. They raised their weapons higher, unsure if the sound was a threat or something worse. Then, the alien fell silent again, its eyes dimming back to their faint glow. The first soldier's throat was dry as he forced out words. What was that?" The second soldier stared at the creature, her voice shaking. "It wasn't for us." They stood frozen, trapped between fear and the haunting sense that they had witnessed something not meant for human ears. The alien turned and began walking again, chains rattling, expression unreadable. The humans hesitated before following, their thoughts tangled with unease. The ruins disappeared behind them, swallowed by shadows. But the sound still lingered in their minds, that deep, mournful tone, like the voice of a world long dead. The first soldier's voice came once more, bitter and sharp. "We call them monsters. We call them destroyers. But maybe we never knew what they really are." The second soldier did not answer. She kept walking, but her mind echoed with the same thought. The alien walked ahead, bound by chains, but not defeated, carrying its silence like a weapon, its memories like scars. And the humans, for all their strength, could not shake the feeling that they were the ones being led. The desert wind rose, scattering sand over the path, erasing their footprints behind them. The night stretched endless, and the story pressed forward, deeper into mystery, deeper into fear. The soldiers had not spoken for a long time. The valley of ruins was far behind, but its shadow followed them. The sound the alien had made still lived inside their ears, heavy and cold, like a memory that refused to fade. They tried to push it away, but every step seemed to bring it back. The desert stretched wide and endless once more. The canyon walls had opened into a barren plain, where only sand and rock kept them company. The stars above were sharp and merciless, watching with quiet judgment. The humans' breaths came hard now, not from the march, but from the weight of their thoughts. At last, a voice broke the silence. It was the first soldier, his tone sharp, almost desperate. Command said protect it. Command said let it live. But they never said why. "Tell me, do you know why?" The second soldier did not look at him. Her eyes stayed fixed on the alien walking just a few paces behind. "No," she said simply. The first soldier let out a bitter laugh, low and broken. "We don't even know why we're dragging this monster through the desert. We don't know where it's going, what it wants, or what they want with it. And we're supposed to act like that makes sense." The alien's chains rattled softly, answering for her. The second soldier finally turned her head. "You don't have to understand. Orders are orders." But the words were weak. Even she didn't believe them anymore. The silence stretched between them again, heavier now, filled with questions neither dared to speak. The alien's footsteps were steady, calm. It showed no pain, no struggle. Though the chains were thick and heavy, its glowing eyes swept across the desert, always searching, always watching. There was no fear in its movements, no anger either. It looked almost patient, as if it was waiting for something that had not yet come. The first soldier stopped walking. His boots sank into the sand, and he stood frozen, staring at the creature, his breath fogged in the cold night air. "Why don't we kill it right here?" His voice trembled, but it was filled with fire. "Why don't we end it right now? No one would know." The second soldier turned sharply, her hand moving toward her weapon. "Don't," she warned. Her voice was firm, but her heart raced. The first soldier's hand shook as he raised his rifle, pointing it at the alien's chest. The glow of its eyes reflected in the weapon's barrel. The alien did not flinch. It did not move at all. It only stared, calm and silent, as if daring him to try. The desert wind screamed, sand whipping against their armor. The world seemed to hold its breath. The second soldier's voice cut through the storm. "Think, if you kill it, you break orders. If you break orders, it won't be command you fear. It'll be humanity itself. Do you really want that?" The first soldier's chest heaved. His finger trembled on the trigger. He wanted to pull it. He wanted to end the silence, end the fear. But something in the alien's eyes stopped him. It wasn't rage. It wasn't hate. It was understanding. The soldier lowered his weapon slowly, his breath ragged. His voice came out broken. "What is it? Why does it look at us like that?" The second soldier stepped closer, her hand still on her sidearm, ready in case he changed his mind. She spoke softly, though her own voice shook. "Maybe it knows mercy. Maybe it knows we chose to spare it." The alien tilted its head slightly, the chains clinking like quiet laughter. The soldiers stood in silence again, the desert wide and cold around them. They could feel something shifting, though they could not name it. Fear, respect, doubt, it all blended into one heavy truth. This was no beast, no mindless killer. This was something far more dangerous. They began walking again, but the weight in their steps was greater than before. The alien's silence pressed closer, like a shadow wrapping around their minds. Every sound in the desert seemed louder, sharper. Every heartbeat echoed in their ears. Hours passed. The moon rose high above, cold and pale. The plain stretched on without end. The soldiers grew tired, but the alien never slowed. Its presence was a constant reminder that this journey was not just theirs. The first soldier finally whispered, his voice barely carried by the wind. "Maybe command doesn't want it dead because death is simple. Maybe they want something worse." The second soldier's throat tightened. She thought of the galaxy, of the countless races who whispered about humans as killers, predators, monsters themselves. She thought of what mercy looked like in human hands. It was not kindness. It was strategy. It was power. She spoke quietly, more to herself than to him. "Maybe mercy is the sharpest weapon we have." The alien's eyes glowed brighter at those words, as if it had heard, as if it understood. The soldiers shivered. Though the desert was already cold, they marched on, but the truth followed close behind. Killing was easy. Mercy was the terror that spread faster than blood. Mercy made monsters question their own strength. Mercy made enemies fear what humans might do next. The alien's silence was no longer empty. It was full, heavy with meaning. And the soldiers, for all their weapons and armor, felt unarmed before it. The desert stretched ahead, endless, merciless, and waiting. The plain gave way to rocky ground, sharp stones jutting from the sand like broken teeth. The soldiers moved carefully, their boots scraping against the uneven surface, every step ringing louder than before. The alien followed with the same calm pace, its chains rattling like an iron. Heartbeat. The air felt heavier now, as if the desert itself leaned in to listen. The first soldier wiped sweat from his brow. Though the night was cold, his eyes darted toward the creature again and again, never trusting its silence. "It's wrong," he muttered, his voice cracking. "It should be angry, it should be fighting. But look at it. It's watching us like we're the ones in chains." The second soldier's hand brushed her weapon. She didn't like the truth in his words. The alien's silence had become more frightening than any scream. Each glance from its glowing eyes carried weight, as if it was holding knowledge the humans could not reach. They stopped near a jagged cliff where the ground dipped into shadow. The alien paused as well, lifting its head, its gaze sweeping across the barren landscape for the first time. The soldiers felt as though it was not looking at them, but beyond them, into something greater. The first soldier's voice rose again, sharp with frustration. Why do we spare it? Why keep it alive? The galaxy already fears us for killing without mercy. Now they'll fear us for the opposite. Mercy from humans. Who would believe that? The second soldier's jaw tightened. Maybe that's the point. The alien turned its head then, fixing its glowing eyes on her. The faint light in them seemed to grow brighter, piercing through the shadows, cutting straight into her thoughts. She stiffened, but did not look away. For a long moment, no one moved. The chains lay quiet. The desert winds hushed. The world itself seemed to wait. Then, with deliberate calm, the alien shifted its arms, the metal restraints clattering against stone. Its mouth opened, but no roar came. Instead, a sound rose from its throat, low, steady, and strange. Not a word, but a tone, filled with weight. The soldiers froze. The sound wrapped around them like a cold hand, pressing against their skin, against their hearts. It was not loud, but it filled the air, heavy with meaning they could not understand. The first soldier gripped his weapon tighter. What is it saying? The second soldier shook her head, her throat tight. Not to us, it's never to us. The sound faded, leaving silence sharper than blades. The alien's eyes dimmed back to their steady glow. It looked at the soldiers again, calm, unblinking. And the meaning was clear, even without words. It knew. The first soldier stepped back, his breath ragged. It's playing with us. It wants us afraid. But deep down, he knew that was not true. Fear was already there, planted long before this journey. The alien was not creating fear. It was showing them how deep it ran. The second soldier felt, her heart pounding in her chest. She had seen death. She had seen battlefields burn. She had watched humans and aliens tear each other apart. Yet nothing unsettled her more than this moment, standing before a creature spared by mercy, a creature that refused to hate them for it. Her voice was quiet but steady. Mercy is worse than killing. That's why we were ordered to spare it. The galaxy fears us for our violence, but now they will fear us for our mercy. The alien tilted its head slightly, and for the first time, its lips curved. Not a smile of joy, not gratitude, but something sharper, darker, recognition. The first soldier stumbled back a step, his hands shaking. No, it can't know that. It can't, but the truth was written in its eyes. The alien understood. It understood that mercy in human hands was not kindness. It was strategy. It was power. The second soldier's voice trembled as she spoke. We spared it, and now it knows. It knows what we are. The chains rattled again, but this time, the sound felt deliberate, almost mocking. The alien walked forward, steady and unbroken, as though the desert belonged to it, as though the humans were the ones being led into darkness. The first soldier whispered, his voice nearly lost to the wind. Mercy is the strangest weapon, and we're the ones who wield it. The second soldier said nothing. She only walked, her heart heavy, her thoughts burning. She could feel the shift in the air. Killing had always been simple, but mercy had changed everything. Mercy had made the monster into something greater, something untouchable. The desert stretched before them, endless and merciless. The stars above flickered like watchful eyes, recording every step. The humans walked in silence, the alien beside them, its glowing eyes unblinking, its silence louder than any scream. And though the chains bound its body, the humans knew the truth. It was not the monster that was captive. It was them. The night had grown deep. The desert lay in silence, broken only by the soft grind of boots against sand and the faint rattle of chains. The air was cold now, sharp enough to sting. Yet sweat still clung to the soldiers' faces. Fear was its own heat, burning inside them with every step. The alien walked between them, steady as ever, its glowing eyes casting faint light against the dark. It was bound, but it did not move like a prisoner. It moved like a shadow, like a secret carried through endless time. The soldiers knew it. They felt it with every look, every silence, every moment of calm that pressed heavier than war. The first soldier's voice cracked into the night. We're not sparing it for mercy. We're sparing it for fear. That's what command wants. That's what this is. He breathed hard, shaking his head. We don't just kill enemies. We make the whole galaxy wonder what we'll do next." The second soldier didn't argue. She couldn't. The truth was already in front of them. Sparing the monster was not an act of kindness. It was a weapon sharper than any blade. The alien turned its head, its glowing eyes flickering faintly as if it heard the thought. And perhaps it did. Its silence had always been more than absence. It was understanding. They stopped at the edge of a ridge. Below them stretched another canyon, wider and darker, its depths hidden in shadow. The wind howled through it like a voice, carrying dust that swirled around their feet. The soldiers stared into the blackness, and for the first time, they felt something more than fear. They felt small. The first soldier whispered, his throat dry, "Why doesn't it fight us? Why doesn't it kill us and run? Chains or not, it could try." The second soldier's eyes stayed fixed on the alien. "Because it doesn't need to." The words hit harder than any weapon. The first soldier shivered, his breath trembling in the cold. He looked at the alien, at its steady stance, at the way it carried itself even in defeat. The creature was not beaten. It was waiting, watching, learning. The alien finally moved, slow, purposeful. It lifted its head, the glow in its eyes brighter now, casting light against the canyon walls. Its lips parted, and for the first time, true words spilled out. The voice was deep, rough, like stone cracking, yet it carried meaning the humans could not deny: mercy. The word hung in the air, sharp, cutting through the night like a blade. The soldiers froze, their blood ran cold, their hearts hammering. It had spoken. It had chosen its first word carefully. The first soldier stumbled back a step. It knows. The alien's gaze swept over them both. "Mercy," it repeated, softer this time, but heavier, filled with weight no chains could hold. The second soldier's lips parted, but no sound came. She felt the word pierce through her, the way it twisted inside her chest. It was not just a word. It was a truth, a weapon. The alien tilted its head, its faint smile returning. Then it spoke again, the words jagged but clear. "Mercy is your weapon." The desert went silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. The soldiers stood motionless, hearts pounding, minds spinning. The alien knew. It had seen through them, through humanity itself. It understood why it was spared, and it understood what that meant. The first soldier wanted to deny it, to scream, to raise his weapon and fire until the silence broke. But he couldn't move. He couldn't even breathe. The second soldier felt a chill run down her spine. She had thought it before, whispered it to herself in the cold hours of night. Mercy was the sharpest blade, but hearing it from the mouth of the monster, it was something else entirely. The alien stepped forward, chains rattling like laughter in the dark. Its eyes glowed brighter, reflecting the fear etched into the soldiers' faces. Then it whispered, almost gently, "The galaxy will fear you more for this than for blood." The words sank deep, heavier than any command, any order. The humans had always been feared for their violence. But now they would be feared for something far worse. The unknown, the mercy of killers, the mercy of monsters. Themselves, the first soldier finally found his voice, broken and small. "What are you?" The alien's faint smile lingered. "Alive," it said simply. It walked forward again, as though the desert belonged to it, as though the humans were nothing more than escorts to its revelation. And in truth, they were. The soldiers followed, their weapons still in hand, but useless. Now, their orders echoed in their minds. Protect it, spare it. And now they understood why. The galaxy would whisper of this night. They would tell stories not of humans killing, but of humans sparing. And that story would spread faster than fire, sharper than war. Mercy had become the deadliest weapon of all. The desert swallowed their footsteps, erasing their trail, leaving only silence behind. The story was no longer theirs to tell. It belonged to the stars.